Obiriku, Obiabiarum, also today.
This is Dickerson D'Juan, aka Sangoleke. In this video, he and his daughter are praying to Ifa in America. Interestingly, Dickerson used to be a Buddhist, but now he's an Ifa practitioner in the USA. How did this happen?
Well, Shango is lifting me up, literally. I was a Buddhist for a couple of years, and one day I was at the Buddhist temple, looked to my left, looked to my right, and something whispered in my head and was like, these people do not look like me. Let people know that what we're doing is not evil, it's not witchcraft, it's not, it's very demonized here, and it's unfortunate because it's so beautiful. My Babalawo stays with me, he lives with me, so I'm training Ifa daily. It's not like I do this one. I'm daily practicing Ifa. So all of my kids are in the tradition and they understand the practice, but it's not something that I'm like forcing them to do. So early on, when I first came to Ifa, my chief was like, it was probably my second or third divination, and he was like, "You're going to be a Babalawo. You're going to be doing Ifa work. This is going to be what you're going to be doing." And I'm looking at him like, "I'm going to be doing what? Saying what?" But where I'm at now, and in the short amount of time that I've grasped everything, I understand why Ifa said things about me to be doing.
What was your journey into Isheshi? Now, Isheshi being the Yoruba traditional religion, Ifa worship, Ifa veneration, and all. What was your journey into it? Again, I don't know if you have Nigerian roots. I
Uh-huh.
can't tell. If only you tell me. But yes, what was your journey or your path into it? Were you raised in a tradition, or did you find it later in life?
So I found it later in life. As a typical American, Black American, I grew up in the church. Went to Catholic school, grew up heavy in the church. Parents take me to church every Sunday, and as a kid, it never really resonated. But as a kid, you can't really tell your parents this not doesn't resonate with me because they don't understand that I have an understanding of spirit at a very early age. So as I grew into an adulthood, I was actually practicing Buddhism for a couple of years. I kind of identified myself as spiritual. This is before I understood African spirituality. I always had questions about African spirituality, but never ventured into it just because it was so taboo amongst Americans. So I was a Buddhist for a couple of years, and one day I was at the Buddhist temple, looked to my left, looked into my right, and something whispered in my head and was like, these people do not look like you. So I was thankful for the path because I started to calm down my life when I started practicing Buddhism. But again, the people didn't look like me, and being represented mattered the most to me during that time, and finding representation for my people and where I come from and my ancestors. I was always heavy into the ancestor worship and appreciating how without them I wouldn't be here. So I moved back home to Atlanta, and in Atlanta, the Ifa community is very present. It's very present. I started meeting a couple people, not really asking questions, but I started seeing like, hey, what are these beads? What does these things mean? What's going on? And from that, I found my way to my first chief who gave me my first divination. And from there, everything just made sense. Like it clicked in my brain, my prayers, the things that I'm asking for and praying for started manifesting quicker than ever. It made too much sense for me to even turn around and be like, and it was my people. You know what I'm saying? I am of African American. I'm an African American. I have West African descendants. I'm a descendant of West African. You know what I'm saying? Due to the transatlantic slave trade, all that stuff. So just over time, it was like, this is where I need to be. This is home. This is what my spirit needs.
Okay. So from Buddhism to Isheshi, I don't think I have heard such a journey in my life. Usually it comes from either Islam to African traditional religion or Yoruba traditional religion or Isheshi or Christianity or someone who was an atheist has an encounter and then becomes an adherent or becomes a follower of Ifa. But from Buddhism to Ifa as a black man. That's really, I don't think a lot of people, it's going to be surprising to a lot of people. But again, I feel like I understand because
Hmm.
again, one of the themes or the prevalent themes when I speak to people who have encountered Ifa is how it became all encompassing. Like you said, what you wanted began to manifest. So I feel like I understand that part of it. So let's talk about your name. When you sent me your mail and it was a different name on there, I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
my
I
American
suspect
name,
that
of
yeah, you're not
course.
exactly, exactly. But so the name you currently go by on Instagram is Sangoleke,
Uh huh. That's my that was
which
given to me during
is
my Shago initiation. Uh huh.
yes, during your Itifani, your initiation. So, what was it about the name that made you own it? Because one of the funny things that happens is for us as Nigerians who see Americans, especially Black Americans, take on Ifa spirituality, and then they have to pick names. It is sometimes some people would say, "Oh man, that's corny." That's a very corny name because again, you do not have close relationship. You are not from Yoruba land. You're not an African. But again, this particular name, because it's quite powerful to anybody who understands it. So yeah,
Yeah.
what does the name mean to you? Yeah, what does it mean
So
to you?
well, Shango is lifting me up, literally. So throughout my life and just situations, how do I say this? I'm somebody who kind of always downplayed myself. I've always been talented. I've always been a person of how do I say? Trying to think of the word I want to use. I've always been somebody who's been like relevant, but I've always downplayed myself. I'm known in a lot of spaces and areas, but for Shango Leke to be the name that was given to me, because I didn't choose it. It came from when they were divining my Shango Odu, and they said Shango Leke. So I felt like this is just one of those times where Shango is really lifting me up to be who I'm supposed to be and stepping into my full power and my full potential of myself.
Okay. Okay, makes sense. So how would you explain Ifa to somebody, who's from a Christian or Muslim? I'm going to use Christian or Muslim now because again, those are the privileged religions that we have here. So how would you explain Ifa to somebody? And I feel like you have the most experience because again, you were raised Christian, became a Buddhist, and now you are into Isheshe as well. So how would you explain Ifa to somebody who has no idea about it? Or so, and again, now I'm asking to somebody who has no idea about it, but somebody who's based in America or who's based abroad, not someone based here. So somebody you would most likely meet
Just me, because I get
in
this
your
question a
dating.
lot. Uh huh. So for
Yeah, how would
me,
you explain it? 'Cause-
when the way I explain it to people is Ifa is here to help us align with our higher self and to fulfill our destiny that we came to this earth to do, because some of us get here and we are confused, we might be doing the wrong thing, involved in the wrong things, and Ifa is going to align you with exactly where you're going to go with specific I don't want to say instruction, but like advice or specific guidelines that you might want to adhere to if you want to get to that next level of life, you know. So I love the fact that it's what's for you is for you and what's for me is for me, and with that there's just an alignment with yourself, and that's the general
okay, so
explanation I give.
basically,
It,
you'd
it
say
gets deeper
Ifa
than that
is
when the more questions, but that's the general statement I normally give.
okay. So basically, you'd say Ifa is like guidance,
Guidance and alignment.
guidance and alignment. Okay, okay. All right. So next question for me again. Like personally, I'm very fascinated by people who are abroad and choose to still follow Ifa and choose to be Isheshi, to do Isheshi and all. Like, so what does it mean to practice as an Isheshi follower or Isheshi adherent on American soil? Because again, you hear America is the land of the free. I don't know how you think that America should not, or Americans would not have deep spiritual connections. Again, because everything is on the surface level, things work out the way they should compared to how it is in Africa or in parts of Nigeria as well. So, what does it mean to practice on American soil? What are the challenges and maybe gifts, or what are the challenges or advantages of practicing in America?
Okay. Well, I'll say a lot of the challenges are some of the main challenges are to let people know that what we're doing is not evil, it's not witchcraft, it's not it's very demonized here, and it's unfortunate because it's so beautiful. Yeah, Ifa has I'm getting goosebumps right now, but Ifa has done so much for me in my life in a positive way that destigmatizing and decolonizing certain minds to understand that hey, we're not doing anything bad. We're literally just praying to the core source of where our people came from. Most of the Black Americans here, we are from West Africa. And for most of our lives, and a lot of people, we don't get to dive into that aspect, but we feel lost on the inside because it's generational trauma from thousands of years, but it still lives within us. So to connect with that finally and feel whole internally, that's one of the biggest things for me and takeaways for me practicing here in America. And I know I'm here in America, but I'm fortunate enough to have my Babalawo and my Babalawo stays with me. He lives with me. So I'm training Ifa daily. It's not like I do this one. I'm daily practicing Ifa. Since I came to the practice, since my first divination, I've been sitting on the mat next to my chief. So it wasn't come 1 month and go back 3 months. No, I've since day one, E5. And it's helped my life in a lot of ways. Like I said, my family, just certain aspects, like so trying to just tell people it's not evil and let them see that it's a lot of light within. And we're good people. Like that's one of the biggest things. Like I'm a selfless person. So, we're good people. We're not out here trying to do bad, trying to hurt nobody, just trying to live my life and raise my family.
Okay, so talking about family again, just piggybacking off to the video of you and your daughter as well. I want to assume that you're raising her in Ifa as well.
Yeah. So all of my kids are in the tradition and they understand the practice, but it's not something that I'm like forcing them to do. I never wanted to be the parent who says, this is what you need to do. This is what you're doing to follow. I explained to them what I got going on. I've had divination and elbows done for them as well. And they received the messages but I don't force it on them. Now the video of my youngest daughter, she's the one who's gravitated the most. She'll come sit down with me at that shrine and really try to say what I'm saying and learn what I'm saying and do what I do. And she understands, young kids are big vessels and open spiritually. So she would she's taking that upon herself. That's not I'm just there doing the work for myself and she took it upon herself. Daddy, I want to do offering. Daddy, can we go make prayer today? I changed the water. What do I need to do? Can we go give offering to Oshun? Like she's asking me. I'm not trying to force it on her because I want my kids to have understanding of why we do it versus just me making them do things.
Okay. Okay, so still staying on that line. I know you offer the sacrifices, you do ebo and all these things in Yoruba. How easy has that been for you? Learning Yoruba and even just to converse on a daily basis or to do venerations and all. How easy has that been? Learning the
It
language.
has it has not been easy. So early on when I first came to Ifa, my chief was like, it was probably my second or third divination. And he was like, you're going to be a Babalao. You're going to be doing Ifa work. This is going to be what you're going to be doing. And I'm looking at him like, I'm going to be doing what? Saying what? But where I'm at now, and in the short amount of time that I've grasped everything, I understand why Ifa said things about me to be doing because I did learn it and I understand what I'm saying when I'm praying. Now, I can't speak Yoruba in terms of a conversation, but at least I know the prayers that I'm saying and I know the meaning behind them and I know what I'm saying with intent so I can know, hey, Arisha, this is what I'm praying for and the intent can be behind it as well versus me just saying it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So again, would you say social media has changed the way Ifa is received or understood or sometimes misrepresented? Because again, if you think about it, man, 10, 15 years ago, I do not think the conversation we are having now, that we are talking to each other, you are in the USA, I'm in Nigeria, we are having this conversation about this kind of topic. I don't think it would have been possible a couple of years
Right.
ago. But again, the power of social media, all this has happened in the last 3 weeks. I saw the video, reached out. We are here talking now.
Uh huh.
Would you say social media has changed the way IFA is received, perceived, or if sometimes misrepresented? What do you
I
think about
feel,
that?
I feel always. I feel like social media definitely can help. The right content can help, but a lot of times the wrong content can also deceive. So that's why I kind of started making content about the truth of Ifa that I know and that was taught to me from my elders, because I am surrounded by elders both here and in Nigeria. Like, so I've been big on wanting to put out good information, because I get online, I get on TikTok, you get on Instagram, you see people misrepresenting the culture and the practice, and these are people who consider themselves within the practice as well. And I just want to be a good representation of, and to put out accurate information so that people who are curious, or who, even if they don't want to become devotees, they just curious, they can have good knowledge to listen to, or good information to listen to say, okay, this is what it really is. It's not that. Because again, you got people on social media who big following but bad representation, and it gets
Mhm.
everybody confused and in a frenzy. So my thing is just to, put out my truth, my perspective, and let it be known like that's not what it is sometimes, or that is true, or you know what I'm saying, just to give better insight. I'm not trying to mislead nobody.